London's biggest conversation continues with James Max, LBC 97.3.
You're listening to Business Matters here on LBC 97.3 with me, James Max. Now this week, a cry for help, an assessment that things are really getting bad, a return to honesty in politics, perhaps a veiled attempt to salvage a political career, or to add fuel to the flames under Gordon Brown's leadership. I'm James Max. I broadcast here on London's LBC 97.3, where I do the business show Business Matters, but I also present quite a few TV programmes, most recently Channel 4's Dispatches on how the banks never lose. And I'm also involved in a number of different areas of broadcasting, whether it be reviewing the newspapers on Sky News or the BBC News Channel, and indeed I write my own column for a magazine called Property Week magazine. I think my route into broadcasting is probably one of the oddest ever. Back in the late 80s, I thought property is really great, I must go and study it. So I studied land management. I then qualified as a chartered surveyor, and then I spent 6 or 7 years working with a big firm of property advisors, buying big buildings for overseas investors. I was then lured into the world of investment banking. I worked for Morgan Stanley, one of the big American investment banks, in their investment banking team. And then after that, I became a partner of a private equity firm. And by the time that was all done, I'd had a career of about 15 years, and then I thought, I'm not sure I'm very happy doing this. I wasn't waking up in the morning with the same level of excitement that I had before. So I thought, well, something's got to change. And I think a lot of people from the outside look at you and say, if you're earning a lot of money, that must be brilliant. Earning money per se isn't brilliant, it's what you do with it. And if you have no time to spend it, if you're finding that you're spending so much of your time angry, cross, irritated, chasing your tail around, then after a while you begin to think, this isn't what I want, and therefore you're able to make the change. I received an email from a friend of mine, and this email says, just saw this, you might be interested. On the link was the link to the application form to the Apprentice. And I thought, you got to be joking, I'm not going to go and do that. There's no way that I am taking part in a reality TV show. No, 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 no. Anyway, next day when I got back into the office, for some reason or other, I opened up the email again, had a look, I was bored or fed up or something. So I then spent a little bit of time filling out the form, sent it off, didn't think about it again, and then I got the call up to go to the interviews. I went and there were thousands of people and I didn't really think about it. And then it was only then that I started to think, actually, I've really got to think quite carefully about this. This might not happen. From my perspective, it was an opportunity to do something that money can't buy, and that I just wanted to get out of doing what I was doing. There was an element of me that was cross because I genuinely wanted to win. I genuinely wanted to work for Sir Alan. A lot of people might say, well, why would you want to do that? He is an inspirational character. He's entirely different from me. He's had a very different background, very different approach to business, but I think you can learn from that. And it was the first one, and I'm naturally competitive. I didn't enter to, get second or third place. But it was a journey to go on. And it doesn't matter whether you're in a career that you like or that you hate or that you've done something that you regret. Whatever it is, there's always something to take from what you've done, and therefore you need to move forward with it. And as far as I was concerned, the result was the result. I didn't win, move on. And I thought I could very easily go back into doing what I was doing, investment banking or finance or property or whatever it was. And there was just something niggling inside saying, you know what, you should wait, you should think about doing some other things. It doesn't matter if you're 36, 37, 38, 39, you can always go back into that because your qualifications, your experience will always allow you to go back if you want to, something to fall back on. And I did quite a few interviews on BBC TV, some radio stations, and I did some writing, and all sorts of different bits and pieces just happened, and I thought, I quite liked this. What I liked was the process of producing different kinds of broadcast media, and I thought, well, maybe there's something I can do with this. And what I did was, for the first year, it was a little bit like a business plan. I set out some objectives, and I said, if I am not on the radio, either filling in or doing a regular slot or doing something of note, I won't continue to do it. If I'm not earning X amount of money by the end of the year, I will stop doing it. And if I haven't received enough commissions in terms of things that I'm writing, I will stop doing it. So I set myself goals, and then at the end of that sort of first full year, I sort of had attained those goals, and then I thought, right, now I'm going to set myself new objectives. These things, you can't force them, but on the other hand, you never get anywhere by pure luck and fortune. And anybody who says that you do a TV show like this and it all falls in your lap, forget it. It doesn't. You have to work hard. You have to learn new skills. You have to decide what you want to do and go and learn. So, for example, the fact that I'm here on the radio isn't just because I turned up one day and somebody said, oh, come on the radio. It's because I reviewed newspapers, I fitted in on other people's slots, I started doing business segments, I did quite a lot of public speaking, all sorts of things. Text right now. 84850 is the number to text. Dan says, Chancellor Darling hasn't got a clue, he should go now. Well, that's pretty clear and explicit, isn't it? And now I listen to myself and I listen to what I'm doing, and it's still hard to work out how do you get from where you are now, which is maybe competent, to being a consummate broadcaster. So for me, it's still a continual, I wouldn't say struggle, struggle's the wrong word, challenge. My advice, if you want to change career, is be prepared for the long haul, be prepared for some failures, be happy with successes, do set yourself goals, but just be very aware that whatever job, even if it looks fun or it looks easy, it isn't. To be good at whatever it is that you do, you're going to have to work at it. If that hard work is good fun, then you know you're doing the right thing. If it feels like an utter slog and every day you just don't want to wake up, you are doing the wrong thing. I mean, there are sometimes square peg, round hole. I think what I've done now, going from private equity and finance and property into media, is a massive 180-degree shift. Having said that, skills are transferable. Communication, motivation, hard work, networking, all sorts of things are very easily transferable. But you've got to have the determination to do it, you've got to want to do it, and you've got to be prepared to work at it.